grapefruit! Fake! Fake! Fake grapefruit! Fake! Liar! You liar!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I made it back to the bunker and I went and put another 3 truckloads of dirt up there so that people can't pound on the hatch as much. If you watched the other day, it was quite interesting. Anyways, I've also got this on this Sunday Night Live. That's right, the coveted Horse's Ass Award will be going to somebody that you know and don't love. Hang tight for that. Someone remind me if I forget. Oh man, remind me. Jolene, someone. That's going to be coming back up next. But it is Sunday Night Live. And what happens on Sunday? Well, I got this here bottle of Glenlivet Scotch. Had to crack into a new one because the other one was too delicious to let sit around. So every $50 or more donation buys me a shot of that, and it helps fund what's going on. Next week, sometime, I'm leaving back, folks. I'm going behind enemy lines. I'll be heading back to California for a brief visit to meet my little grandson. It's going to be a heck of a trip. It's scary, and I will not be staying. I like it down here, down south, right? Not too far from the Gulf Coast, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the training, the fun, everything, the lifestyle, the good weather, and I like especially the fact that there are so many Americans here along the southern border of the United States. Well. It is Sunday Night Live, where you control the show. Down below, we've got, what? Let's see, CashApp, Venmo, PayPal, and up here we've got, bam, the super chat button for donations. Do that. Put a question and we'll get your question up here. This is the one day of the week where everyone's invited. It's the zoo. This is the one day of the week where everyone can join in the conversation. Get your question up here and I will make you famous. So starting right off the bat, we're going to start with Darcy T. It's either between Darcy T and Chin Music every week. And Darcy checked in with a $50 super chat donation through PayPal and says, "Good evening, John. Just wanted to remember fellow truther Mike Morales, who passed away a few days ago. Rest in peace, brother Mike. Salute." And I tell you what, I think that what Darcy's saying is that $50 donation goes to pouring a drink for Mike Morales. I'll tell you what, folks. Every voice for truth, every voice for fact, every voice for freedom is missed when it leaves. I don't know a lot of Mike's work. There were so many of us, and they're slowly whittling us away. In this case, Mike went on to the promised land. Salute to you, Mike and family. Rest in peace, brother. Anyone who wants freedom and liberty, anyone who speaks the truth, anyone who stands up to big authority, tyrannical authority, and despotic regimes, they deserve respect. Let's continue, though. Let's move on with the show. Tell you what, I want to hear from Chin Music next. I really do. Do we have his questions ready? Jolene, man, there it is. Chin Music steps up with another super chat donation, $22.23. And he says, now that our society has spent 4 decades attacking and weakening its men, with a few notable exceptions of what percentage of the males would actually oppose another country sticking their flag in our soil. Well, this society has actually spent more than 4 decades. I mean, I know what you're talking about. The last 4 decades, from the 1980s on, it has become just horrifying how the male of the species has been attacked. And I've noted my whole life that very thing. The rise of feminism, the attacks after attack after attack. And it was interesting, something occurred a few years ago where women are now being attacked. But you see, women, I think, have been attacked all along, equal with the men. Because every time they attacked men and masculinity and strength, they turned around and took those same things away from women. You see, they told women that they had to be just like men, but men are idiots. They told women, you should, want to be like men. You should want to work just as hard as them. And you should want this and you should want that. They kept telling women what to be until women weren't being women anymore. That's what's happened. And now we're to the point where women are being replaced by men who aren't men, who think they're women, but they're not. Good golly, folks. It's go time. It's go time. Now, here we are with a bunch of hypersensitive socialists out there who wish they were women. Remember that this is 20 years ago. You need to get in touch with your feminine side. Well, that feminine side was supposed to be my spouse. I was married back then. I got in touch with her a long time ago. I said, hey, you want to go out on a date? That's how I got in touch with my feminine side. They don't like it. Now, to speak to Chin's question, what percentage of males would actually oppose another country sticking their flag in our soil? I tell you what, I'm going to say 20%. 20% would oppose. Now, what percentage would do something about it? There's your quandary. That's where we get into trouble. How many people would step up? Now, if I saw a bunch of screaming Chinese People's Liberation Army people, right? I could not stand up to a regiment. I couldn't stand up to a company. I couldn't stand up to a platoon of them. I couldn't. So I would hope that there would be other men who step forward with me and would resist such an invasion, whether it's by an airdrop or hitting the beach, right? Or just rolling on tanks, armored, just coming down the street, city by city. You see, this is what I would want to say to you, Chin. Day one, not many. The people in the general area would find themselves to be in big trouble. They'd be like, what the hell's going on? And I'm using China as an example, Russia as an example, Canada as an example. How about an army from the Persian Gulf? The Iranians combined with the Saudis. Think about it, folks. Let me continue. Day one, people would be like, yeah, that's not very smart, not very nice. Day two, people would be a little more scared, like, what the hell's going on? Where's the Army? Where's the Marines? Why isn't this being stopped? Day three, they start hearing stories about men being rounded up, shot in the back of the head, women raped, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Kids being killed, kids being kidnapped, put on planes, presumably to be sent back to China to be brainwashed, or sent back to Saudi Arabia to be slaves. I would think after just a few days, Chin, the men that were around that still have testicles, that still produce their own testosterone, I think they would become very, very angry and decide we're going to do something about this because no one else has. Now, let me run the story a different way. We've been invaded by Russia. A couple of days go by. Where the hell are the Marines and the Army? And then the Marines and Army show up. And shit's going down, kind of like Ukraine. People are getting killed left and right. I believe the men would do all they can to support the military that is fighting. And there could actually end up being something along the lines of a civilian support system. A civilian support system. I don't know if they would allow us to go to the front line, but there'd be a lot of angry fucking men out there. I can guarantee you that. We're out here. A lot of them folks are asleep. Their nuts are on ice. They've been hiding for years, if not decades. They've forgotten what it means to be a man, to be American, and to be free, because they've been lulled into sleep. Absolutely lulled into sleep with an easy lifestyle. Cable, alcohol, drugs, not to mention being told, you male masculinity, you will go asleep because nobody wants you anymore. We don't need you. So men have been like, well, fuck it. If I'm not needed, I'm going to quit. You know, I'll just quit being a man. Fuck it. I'll just keep to myself. I'll just do my own thing. Right. Let's see. If we were to look today at the amount of freedom we have compared to the amount of freedom that was around 30 years ago, compared to 60 years ago, right? It's a lot lower today. But if you took what freedoms remain and you removed all of them instantly, people would be like, oh, whoa, ho, ho. Can't do that. There'll be no more of that type of shit, right? You're going to tell me no more freedom. That's why the government can't do martial law. They don't have enough people to enforce it, and they'll piss too many people off too quick. So that's why they do the turn up the heat on the frog oh so slowly until you take everything away from him, including his life. Anyways, Chin Music, that is a great topic. I think men need to think about it. I think women need to think about men and what men are supposed to be like. You're supposed to go out there and attack your job and kick ass, not whine and snivel and ask for a fucking Bud Light. No. That's not how it works. Not how it works. All right, we've kicked the show off in our usual fashion right out the gate. Bam! Now, I have something I want to bring up that I think is just huge. In the socialist America of Joe Biden, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, is about to seize, to grab a hold of, to take control of First Republic Bank. Now, this is huge, folks. This is huge, right? FDIC, that's the company that insures your money at the bank and says, oh, yeah, up to $250,000 per account. We'll insure your account. They have now asked PNC, JP Morgan, right, and unknown others to make final bids by today, by Sunday, because the bank has failed. It is now the third major bank, folks. You just wait. There is a crisis. There's a crisis that is coming that is huge. This is a social, right, issue. This is a political issue. This is every issue out there, right? The banking crisis. What, if there's a military crisis, yeah, we've got one. They're trying to recruit fruitcakes in there and cut their balls off. You have an educational crisis, yeah, it's more like indoctrination, not education. You got a problem with the legal system, yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of some bad judges, right? We can deal with all these crises. They're everywhere. I mean, we name them all the time. But a banking crisis, folks, is one of the most worrisome. Now, we discovered that a pandemic, a health crisis, isn't what it's supposed to be. We were lied to about that. But a banking crisis, folks, even the Bible shows that it's the ultimate control and crisis. And doesn't that make sense when we look at today, right? Yeah, food, yeah, water, yeah, shelter, yeah, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, all of those things. None of those things rely on banking. Aha, correct. But what happens if shit hits the fan and the banking crisis happens? You're like, hey, I can't buy food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, or means of self-defense, right? Take away the money. Ouch. Take away the money, take away the banking system, and nobody can buy and nobody can sell without that mark of the beast, that money, right? The mark, the symbol of, the control mechanism of, right? We're all forced to use it. And folks, it's not just me and you as patriots. It's not just the little people, it's everybody. All classes are affected, from the poor to the rich. White, black, brown, red, you name your color of human. Right? All can't function. All social strata, all businesses and major corporations and even governments cannot function without an operating financial banking system. From little itty bitty local businesses to huge international trade, they can't do it. No one escapes that crisis. A banking and currency meltdown. Why do you think Russia, China, India, and Brazil, why do you think they formed their BRICS and their cross-border payment system so that they can continue to try and trade with each other if the US system fails? Well, our system looks like it wants to fail. It looks like it wants to fail, folks. First Republic going down, they propped it up. Other companies sent billions of dollars into it. It did not save it. I mean, this is what I keep hearing is after years and years and years and years and years of the Federal Reserve, of the US Treasury, sending money into these banks to try and keep them liquid, full, floating. They can't do it. They still fail. They couldn't loan each other money overnight. That was the overnight repo market, overnight lending. They just need to borrow money to get to tomorrow so they can continue to do business tomorrow. Couldn't do it. They don't trust each other's assets, right? So one bank, what is their assets, folks? They've got all this cash that you put in there for your deposits, and then they've got assets in the form of loans that are out there, car loans, home loans, right? Loans, personal loans, credit card debt. Those are secured. Well, some are secured and some aren't. Loans, but they have a value. They have an interest rate attached to them. You see, what do we have? The prime rate or whatever is 4%. Well, you got a car loan at 12. You got a house at 14, right? The difference, the delta between 4 and 14 is 10%. That's the asset's value, except nobody or no other banks trust that value. So they won't loan to each other. They're failing. They're failing. They're being propped up, and it's starting to come down. It is going to be very, very scary, folks, if we have some more banks come down. It'll cause the stock market to take a shit. What if your store is Piggly Wiggly? What if your grocery store is Safeway and Safeway's bank goes down? What if it stops being these smaller banks and starts to become the top 10 banks? What if Bank of America were to fail? Right? So they're trying to get these very large banks to buy the troubled assets and buy up this bank. First Republic, they want to buy it up. I mean, when you go to a bank with a name like First Republic, you think that's some solid stuff there. Well, you call them up on the phone and like, your assets are gone. How many more banks are going to fail before they start telling the deposit holders, the little people like you and me, sorry, we don't have any more money for you? They bailed out their good buddies at Silicon Valley Bank. All those billionaire and millionaires were throwing their money at ESG woke corporate crap. The government bailed them out. No problem there. First Republic Bank down. Every little bank, folks, is going to see its assets. There are going to be start to be more talk of bank runs as people are going to want to get their assets out and be safe. They're going to want to pull their cash out, and they'll either keep it in cash in their home or they'll send it to another bank. So people are going to abandon little banks even more than they have after Signature and Silicon Valley went down. And so little banks are going to fail because they don't have the cash on deposit to handle their debts. So it's a domino effect. And right now, some big dominoes are failing. Are you prepared for it? All right, everyone. It is Sunday Night Live. It is the zoo. And once again, a bottle of Glenlivet 18 sitting right there waiting to be abused. And what do you want to talk about? What's on your list? What's on your mind? Typically, I'm here for 2 hours. We'll see how long I can make it tonight. But really, what is it that you want to talk about? Jolene, who do we want to step up next? It is Luke Thompson with a $5 super chat donation. And he says, I think Tucker Carlson should become the next Rush Limbaugh. What is your opinion? I'll tell you what, I've got a strong opinion on this one, Luke. Probably almost 20 years ago, it was 20 years ago. I remember remarking that Sean Hannity, who came on after Rush Limbaugh in the afternoons, California time, I thought, that guy's pretty sharp. He's pretty smart. He could replace Rush Limbaugh. He's very witty. He's got it on the ball. And then 9/11, and he went the way of the sellout. I mean, Sean Hannity, he's got his strong opinion. He's got his Superman haircut, but he lost it. He lost it. In fact, his audience is taking a crap now that Tucker is gone. And the guy that replaced Tucker in that time slot, he's gone too. Nobody wants to watch Fox anymore. Nobody gives a shit, actually. It really was Tucker Carlson at Fox holding up that entire network. Sadly, folks, people are attracted to charismatic personalities more than actual content. In certain cases, you can get both. You can get a charismatic personality that is also well-grounded and very moral. I think Tucker was a pretty good one. No one is going to agree with anyone on anything 100% of the time, and I get it. Even me, I'm an abrasive prick. I get it. So I'm not going to have the hugest audience. I'm not going to become the next Tucker, and Tucker may or may not become the next Rush. And you may mean radio, right? The voice of America, the voice of freedom, the voice of liberty. Once again, what do we want? Do we want money or do we want freedom? Let me just ask you this question. Would you allow yourself to be a billionaire? The government gives you $1 billion, but says, hey, you have to spend the next 40 years in jail before we let you out and you can spend it. Right? What good is $40? What good is billions of dollars going to do you in 40 years if you survive prison? Right? To be a billionaire in prison, you can't spend it. You have no freedom. You have no liberty. It has no value. Selling out yourself and your country for a little bit of money is guaranteeing this country that goes down. And here we are. Shit has hit the fan, and we see all these Democrats and all these rhinos selling out the country. They've got their dual citizenship with the United States and China, or the United States and Canada, or all of them. It's unbelievable what these people are willing to do for a little bit of money. So Tucker, is he going to fight for freedom, or is he going to sell out? Sadly, Mr. Hannity did his thing when he started mocking people who wanted the truth to get out there. 9/11, Building 7. Just answer some fucking questions, right? He wouldn't even ask the questions. Wouldn't even ask. That's a problem right there, folks. That's a big problem. You have to be willing to ask the questions. So Tucker, I think Tucker can be. Tucker has, see, Rush hit the world with just radio. He saved AM radio from absolute destruction and made AM radio the boss again. And then the internet came along, and that opened up a whole can of worms, and Rush managed to stay relevant because he was a charismatic personality and correct, right, smart, good, determined, driven. Right? That is what is, I think, keeping us on here and keeping us alive. All right. Here we go, folks. I said you have to be willing to ask the question. So here's a question for you. And if you've got a question, you can ask it here with a super chat donation. Well, here's another question. The transgender, transsexual tranny from Montana, the state lawmaker, the state assembly person, says that laws restricting sex change surgery for minors are I choked on the word, quote, unconstitutional as they are cruel, end quote. Is she right? Is it right? Is he right? Is the tranny right that restricting children from having their genders changed is unconstitutional? I don't know if it's unconstitutional. Actually, I do. It's unconstitutional. No. It's not unconstitutional. It's completely within the government's purview, authority, to say that doctors do not have the right to change a minor's gender. That's a decision that should be left to an adult, not even a parent, right? Not even a parent, because it is wholly, meaning completely, elective surgery. Now, to take the argument to the ridiculous, to say, well, shouldn't we be able to tell a doctor to just kill us? Well, it's my life and it's my body and it's my choice. Shouldn't I be able to do that? The government says, no, you're not allowed to kill yourself. Oh, okay, then how many people that are dealing with this trans crap, right? They are essentially destroying their bodies and they're creating issues. And I remember when people were saying smoking is wrong and smoking is bad and you shouldn't be allowed to smoke because the rest of society has to help pay your medical bills. What about the world of trannies, where the rest of us are having to foot the bill? Oh, we're having to foot the bill in many ways, folks, because of all the trannies running to the military, and taxpayers are footing that bill. But like the smoker, downrange, all of the associated health and mental health and physical issues that they're having already, we're going to have to foot the bill for that. So that's the question. Is it right by saying that laws restricting sex change surgery are unconstitutional as they are cruel? I don't know what's cruel. Denying a minor, a spoiled brat, its wish, but I want to be a girl when they're a boy? Or is it cruel to say, oh, you think that's what you want? Well, we're just going to cut out your junk off. And then they find out years later, that wasn't the best move to make. All right, folks. It's that kind of world. That is now where we are at. And speaking of where are they at, how about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Where is she? Where is she? Do you remember when she got in her little white pants and her little white shirt and she went down to the border? No, she wasn't at the border. She was at a chain link fence. But she pretended that the chain link fence was the border and a U.S. operation where children were being held in cages. And everyone said, right? Those cages were put in place by Obama, right? Well, now, where is she? Where is the little hypocrite AOC? Where is old Horseface herself? The woman who can eat an apple through a picket fence. Where is she, right? She's silent. She's absent. And guess what? Joe Biden has kids in cages down there. Now, these are children who have arrived at the border. They've arrived at the border without parents or family. They've arrived at the border. So the government, the U.S. Biden government, is now getting these kids and disposing of them in some fashion. Where are these kids going? Well, first of all, they're captured, rounded up, and put in cages. And then they're being sent somewhere by someone, somehow. Do you think that that, right, is right? Does that sound right to you? Well, it's what's happening, folks. What worries me more than illegal aliens in cages, what worries me more than that is Americans being put in cages. Do you realize that there still are out there and up that way? There are lots of FEMA camps. There are lots of government facilities. There are lots of buildings that are still there. They've been there. They've been around for 20 years, folks. That funny guy, Alex Jones, he's talked about them for years and even decades. Everything is still in place. It's just quiet. Too quiet. Except it's really not that quiet. Right? The government has continued to push for its program. It's continued to play its games. What do you think they have in mind for people like you and me? Right? If we end up having, let's ask that question again. We end up having people invade this country. Do you think the government will go fight them, or do you think the government's going to turn on us? One of my fears while being on the West Coast is China invading the West Coast and the federal government in Washington, D.C. just saying, let them have the West Coast. We owe them a bunch of money anyways. It's quite possible. Right? Or any state or any area. We've got trouble, folks. They don't care about you anymore. Everything has been weaponized. The federal government, the bureaucracy, the FBI, the CIA, do you believe that they give a shit about us and the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Do you think the legislature really gives a shit? Do you think the judges really give a shit on the Supreme Court? Well, over the weekend, the justices are now, there's a little squabble again. Something came out, something squirmed and wormed its way loose, talking about the Roe v. Wade decision that was leaked to the public, creating outrage. Right? The fighting is actually happening inside the government as well. But we know, or at least I believe, that the federal government is losing to itself. It's losing to the deep state. And this all has to happen, folks. We have to go through this. We have to go through this process. Now, a lot of us say, well, it'd be great if this would just happen all at once and we can get it over with, like tearing the Band-Aid off. Fortunately, it's a painfully slow Band-Aid removal, folks. The idea of political divorce, blue versus red states, a split of this country, it is still, folks, it's on people's lips. They're wondering what the hell is happening. California, New York, and Illinois are the top three states losing their Republicans who are leaving and taking their money with them. At some point, will the blue states object and stop that? Right? What's going to happen with this, folks? What happens when the blue states start to fail and the red states are prospering? What happens? And we've seen this game before, right? It was called the Civil War, when the South didn't want to give up their assets. Right? What did the South have? Agricultural products, primarily cotton. Yeah, folks, the Civil War was fought over cotton. Believe it or not. Clothing from the Civil War backwards was what everything was about. Food and clothing. That's right. Those little funny things, food, water, shelter, right? Clothing. That was the big deal. The North wanted cotton so that their textile mills could make money. Without cheap Southern cotton, they couldn't do it, right? And the Southerners wanted to send their cotton off to Europe. It was an economic war. The reason I'm talking about the civil wars, I want to point to where we're at today. An economic war is about to ensue. People who believe in freedom and liberty, and they're Republicans, they want to keep their money. They want to stop giving their money to DC, to these blue states. And so they're leaving the blue states. But DC still says they own everybody and they own everything and they can take our money anytime they want. Right? And how can they do that? The banking system. That's one way that they can control things. The other way is to shut down, right, our monetary and banking system. Could it happen again? Could we end up with that sort of situation where the government says, no more moving anywhere you want, no more taking your money out? It's interesting what government wants to do when it feels threatened, when it feels like it's going to lose its power. When we feel like we're going to lose our power as the people, right? How do you feel? I know I get pissed off. Second Amendment, you think you're going to take that? I get pissed off. Right? Illinois, fortunately, had their Second Amendment reinforced by a federal judge. And we may talk about that. If you want to talk about it, hit that super chat button. Here we are, folks. And by the way, we're almost to 400 people live. That is awesome. Completely, totally awesome. Be sure and hit the thumbs up. Be sure and share that internet address there. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that subscription button. Make sure it says subscribed. That way you know what the hell's going on, because we talk about it every single day. A little bit here, a little bit there. And on Sunday Night Live, we talk about all that we want. It's up to you. But what do you think? I'm asking you the question. Are we in line for a big showdown with our own government, with another government that may invade, or within the people in this country? A partisan conflict, a partisan war. Not civil in the sense that someone's trying to take over the government, but rather people fighting amongst themselves because of the divisiveness that have been brought up. Now, I teased you a little bit earlier. That's right. Here it is. The Horse's Ass Award. The coveted silver sphincter on this horse. Right? Who does it go to this week? Well, I'll tell you what. One of my all-time unfavorite people has decided she is going to open her pie hole. And the horse's ass goes to, drum roll please, Chelsea Clinton. That's right. You're like, Chelsea Clinton, what the hell? Well, she decided to come out and say that banning sexually explicit books, and in particular LGBTQ books, from schools, banning those books from schools is, quote, harmful. Harmful. It's harmful to take those type of books out of school. What she wants, folks, is she is Queen Groomer, and she wants to normalize MAPs, minor attracted persons. She wants all of that normalized. Now, what's fascinating is I heard this from her 15 years ago. And 15 years ago, we weren't the woke country we are today. It was an entirely different country. I remember Tom DeLay from Texas, representative. He was, I think, the House minority Republican leader. And maybe at one point he was the majority leader. I don't know. But he said, look out, these people are coming and they are a bunch of sick perverts. And they're going to push for all manner of sexuality. And they've been dealing, folks, with these people for decades, all the way back into the 80s when MAMBLA came out, which was Man and Boy Love Association, MABLA. These creeps would go meet in libraries and other places and talk to each other about their love for little boys. Chelsea Clinton says banning these books is harmful. I think exposing kids to this trash is harmful. Now, last week I was inundated with stories. I was regaled with pictures and commentary about schools and rainbow flags in schools everywhere. We just topped 400. Bam. And flags from, that's right, folks, communist China and the Soviet Union, the old Russian communist flags. Those are the ones in schools today. Why is this allowed? None of this shit was in the schools when my kids were there, or I think I would have come unfucking glued. They did have kids that, were wearing puppy dog or kitty cat ears, and I just thought they were little fruity kids. We didn't have tranny issues back then, but they're all over the place now. In fact, no, wait, there was a tranny. I think when my last son, when Lucas was leaving, there was a male tranny student who wanted to play, I think, lacrosse on the girls' team, and he injured someone severely. Oh, yeah, no problem there. Let's keep going with that. That's working fucking great, right? Share that internet address. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. Let's move on. This is Sunday Night Live, folks. You can hit that super chat button up there. You can get your question on the screen and talk about what matters to you. That's what we do here. That's what we do. So, what else is going on? What other signs of SHTF are out there? Well, people are attacking Budweiser, and rightly so. They're attacking them by doing nothing, by refusing to buy their shit, their beer, their product, their lives. They have really stepped in a big pile of shit, thinking America was going to put up with their woke crap, putting a complete lunatic, and I'm sorry to say, this person needs some serious psychological help, Dylan Mulvaney. He thinks he's a girl. He's not a girl, folks. So anyways, Budweiser stepped in that, and then they tried excusing it away. And then they fired the person who came up with that crap, and then they fired her boss. And now they're trying to push patriotism on us. And I say, no, bud, don't do that. Don't do that. Go 100%. If you're going to go woke, go 100%, bud. Anyways, the idiots started putting commercials out, right? Pandering, folks, to the country folk, right? With young adults just having a good time and partying and popping cans of Bud Light, and with the song Country Fried. So whoever that song belongs to, or whoever owns the rights to that song, they sold out to Bud, and everybody is shitting all over it. Budweiser folks had to turn off comments on YouTube, right? No more comments allowed. This signals that you and I, people like us, don't want these people anywhere in our lives or near our kids or anything else, folks. It's on. Go, Bud, go. Hey, you want to fight? You want to put it on? You want to push that shit? Take it. You fucking earned it, you bunch of dumbasses. Now take it. Right? If it's about money, make it about money. If it's about your agenda, make it about your agenda. But don't pretend you're Americans, because you're not. And it's incredible, folks. Right? YouTube, they've got no problem getting rid of as many of us as they could, kicking us out of YouTube. PayPal, the bank, throwing people out of the bank. Right? Company after company trying to get rid of Trump. They want to fight. Own that shit. Right? Own it. I want to know who my enemies are. I'm tired of this chicken shit game they got. Right? I'm tired of it. I want them to fight, stand up and fight. Do it. Instead, folks, they want to cancel you, deplatform you. They want to cowardly crap on us. It's coming, folks. We got more of this. What do you want to talk about? Bam, let's do this. Jolene, do we want to roll a super chat up on the board and see what's out there? We have Mr. Skylight with a $19.99 super chat donation. You hit that button and bam, here we are with a great, great quote, no doubt. Here it is. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. That was said by Marcus Aurelius. And he says, this would be Mr. Skylight here. There's no way we're going to vote our way out of this corruption. I believe that is absolutely correct. First, I want to finish with the great quote. Marcus Aurelius, Roman I believe, Caesar. If I'm incorrect on that, him being a Roman Caesar, let me know. But yes, whenever you find yourself on the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. Look at what's going on out there. Look at this power that's coming after us, right? For a long time, the majority of Americans wanted freedom. And we would stop, we'd think about it, we'd reflect on it, and then we'd light off our fireworks. We would drink beer, we would barbecue, 4th of July. Every year we would pause and celebrate that. Now we get to 4th of July. And that's the next major holiday coming up, Mother's Day and Father's Day notwithstanding. The 4th of July. And I think that we should pause and reflect. How much of a majority does this country have anymore? Slim to none. Now, as far as voting our way out of corruption, Mr. Skylight, you make one hell of a case here by coupling that with Marcus Aurelius's quote. Right? Those who are in power don't want to give it up. And as soon as we replace them, we end up with someone who is equally corruptible. These people that are taking seats of power only do so for one reason. Very few are truly patriotic. Very few are truly patriotic. There's no way we're going to vote our way out of corruption. Corruption doesn't get voted away. Corruption gets arrested. Corruption gets pulled out by its roots and burned in a fire. Right? You get weeds in your lawn, right? You've got to get rid of them. Once they get root, they start to spread. They corrupt an entire lawn. That's just a little lawn one there. I had that just popped into my head. But yeah, we've tried voting our way out since the 90s. Since the 90s. I don't think people really understood that George H.W. Bush was corrupt until long after his presidency. Similarly, George W. Bush, elected in 2000, he ran through his 8 years before people kind of figured out what a douche he is. Right? But with the Democrats, they'll show you right off the bat. But in every case, all along the way, who has shown themselves to be absolutely corrupt in the White House? Every last single one of them, with the exception of Mr. Trump. While I think he made some very poor decisions with regard to Operation Warp Speed, I think that was a poor decision. And locking down the country, that was a very poor decision. And not standing up to both governors and mayors and allowing their cities to be sacked by a bunch of Marxists continuously. I think he should have taken more aggressive action there. More aggressive action. I think it should have been done. But those are criticisms versus his calling him corrupt. Right? I know that the powers that be in the banking system, they didn't like Trump. The powers that be in the military, they didn't like Trump. The powers that be in law, obviously, they're not loving Trump. They're going after him now that he's out of office. Right? Everyone wants to hate on Trump. Tells me, well, he wasn't their kind of corruption, right? That's for sure. Anyways, Mr. Skylight, we're going to have to fight this corruption the hard way. That's I'm going to agree with you on that. Whew. Well, tell you what, getting a little thirsty here. Getting a little dry, but we got a great audience today. 441 people live. Heading on up. I want to pass 500. I want you to get that internet address out there. Thumbs up, and then hit the subscription button. It's down here. Make sure you're subscribed, and let's move on. Who wants to step up? It is Boomer21 with a Canadian $22 super chat donation. And he says, while we're being distracted by wokeness, many sources are saying that China is gearing up to cyber attack us. They're going to strike while the iron is hot. Now, this is a great topic. We're distracted by wokeness. Now, see, the way you phrase that, it makes it sound like wokeness is over here just toying with us, just kind of pissing us off. Actually, they're attacking the fuck out of us, man. They're attacking the hell out of us with this woke crap. Our children, they're grooming and convincing to hate us and hate our country. I mean, so yeah, it's kind of like a distraction, but no, that's a literal, legitimate attack. It's legitimate. It's an attack. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, right? But it is distracting us. This is where you're right. It is keeping our attention. It's huge. It is a full-on frontal attack, which opens us up to being flanked. We're looking this way and something can hit us from the side. Now, you say that many sources are saying China is gearing up to cyber attack us. Now, for years and years, Boomer, we've had this cyber attack worry, cyber attack worry, cyber attack worry, and then nothing happens. The same way we had Jade Helm, and other U.S. military infiltrating the public. We've had those threats. We've had all kinds and all manner of threats. Lights out, attack the grid, right? Poison the water system, nuclear war threats that we're getting out of Ukraine, right? We're getting all of these threats, but one of them, it just takes one of them to, as you say, strike while the iron is hot. When they're in a position of power and we're in a state of weakness, that's when they can and may and is most likely to strike. You don't strike an enemy when they're strong and prepared. You strike them when they're weak and distracted. So I see your point, and it's a good one to make. Cyber attack us. Where would you cyber attack America? Take down gaming so the kids can't game? Take down the electrical grid. Okay, that one would have a huge effect on us. Cyber attack the government? Oh, why, a lot of people would probably say, thanks for that, man. You got them off my back for a week. But probably the most dangerous place we could be hit ties in with what I was talking about at the very beginning of the show. And that is to say the banking system, a cyber attack on the banking and monetary system, the financial system, Wall Street, trading, would be horrific to this country. It would cause all kinds of problems. The banks, they just might say, hey, we had nothing to do with this. Sorry about that. Yeah. Everyone just relax. I tell you what, we got problems. Why don't you take 2 weeks off of banking and we'll flatten the curve on this cyber attack? Right? How much you want to bet they would welcome it to take the heat off of them? Great topic, Boomer, and it's something that is continuing to bother me. It's this, there's a problem over here, and it's distracting us. But it's not a small problem. The federal government, the Attorney General's office, the President of the United States, the Federal Bureau of Investigation call all of you domestic terrorists for opposing the woke, grooming, filthy schools for what they're doing to children. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's definitely a distraction, but it's also a real attack. Let's keep on moving. Let's keep rolling. We're about to tap 450, moving on up live. And Jolene, who do we want to put down in here? It is Ron Stryker with a 30-06 super chat donation. And he says, spoke to a buddy who works at a military surplus store. People are losing their minds thinking the world's coming to an end. Are the normies finally waking up, or the mainstream media pushing the fear porn too hard? I tell you what I think, Mr. Stryker. I think it's a combination of everything. You see, as Uman says, or as pointed out, is they give us a story, and they run it, and they run it, and they run it, and they run it until it takes off. It goes viral, boom, across all the news channels. And then it's got about 72 hours to work before people get bored with it. And so they're continually bringing up these hit stories. Bam, cyber attack, right? They took out the power in the state. Fruitcake mass murder over here is a tranny. And then over here, pow, got a military problem with planes crashing, helicopters crashing, right? They'll do all that. No, you're intelligent enough and I'm intelligent enough that we can think and see all of these things, all of them out here, right? And we go, hey, there's all kinds of shit going on. I need to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. There's a lot of people out there, they're like, hey, I've noticed that things aren't so great. Not only did they make my price of eggs go up and the cost of gas go up, but I keep hearing about this China thing, and they're threatening to fight Taiwan, and what the hell, right? Or they'll hear, well, what happens if Russia launches nukes into Europe? Or how come the government is calling me a domestic terrorist because I have children I want to protect from a bunch of drag queens trying to expose themselves in school? So I think the normies, Ron, are waking up. Whether they think the world's coming to an end, the end of the world as we know it, or whether they think the U.S. government is going to come and attack them, or whether they fear that the banks will fail and so they need to have all their shit together, I think they're finally waking up. Slowly, very slowly, they're waking up. But nonetheless, they're waking up. And the mainstream media, in order to get its attention, you see that the mainstream media, they have to get money. They have to get viewers, and they're losing viewers. So what's the saying go? If it bleeds, it leads. They need fear porn. They need some crazy shit on the news, or no one's going to watch. They just kicked out the #1 reason to watch mainstream news, Tucker Carlson. I'm surprised more of them aren't talking about Tucker Carlson just to say the name Tucker Carlson and get more people watching their network because they might learn something about Tucker Carlson. Right? That's where they're at. So they have to push fear porn. They have to try and scare people. Tune in next week, right, to hear what we're going to tell you should do. You know, go cut your balls off first. That way, the world's a safer place. Carbon bad. The environment, we're going to kill it. Yeah, that's their game. It truly is their game. Anyways, Ron, I appreciate the awesome super chat donation. It goes into the get the hell back, see your grandson, then get back to the South because we got some prepping to do. Indeed, folks, we really do have some serious prepping to do. Okay. And next, right in there, who is we going to pile in next? Jolene, we've got, drum roll, brrr, Eric S. with a $20 super chat donation. Bam, another big one. Keeping the channel going, and you guys really, literally, you support this channel. He says, John, what do you think of this quote from Ben Franklin? Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. Thank you for everything you do. That's a fabulous quote from the great Ben Franklin, a very interesting individual who in the 1720s, folks, was complaining about attacks on freedom of speech. Approximately 50 years later, we got what? The Declaration of Independence. Declaration of Independence, folks. 50 years after Ben Franklin started talking. It was a long time, folks. Imagine Ben Franklin lived a life of government overreach and despotism and shitty treatment. Now, only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. Show me a country out there that has freedom, folks. Show me another country that has immense, absurd amounts of freedom. It used to be the United States. It used to be the beacon of freedom and goodness. Until what? Until leadership became corrupt and crumbled. Until the institutions have been bought up by corporations and they're crumbling in corruption. And so a government, folks, is vicious and it attacks. Half the country, I like this, seem to have a need for masters to tell them what to do. When you are corrupt, folks, you don't have a moral compass. You don't know what is right and wrong, what is virtuous and what is terrible. I know right and wrong. Right? The Constitution, good. Government, not good. Declaration of Independence, good. Big abusive government, wrong. People having their rights, good. Government taking our rights, bad. I've got my moral compass set. Other people, they're like, I need the government to tell me what to do. I need more laws passed to tell us what to do. There's a lot of crime out there. We need more laws from the government to tell us what to do. That business isn't being run right. The environment is being harmed. We need more government telling us what to do. And so corrupt government goes in there, gets more money from corrupt corporations, so the government gives those corporations money, and so it becomes even more corrupt and more vicious, to use that term. The people out here are screaming for government, do something. You need to have it up here, straight, up here. We all need to be straight with ourselves. What is it that makes a country great? Strong, independent, free people. And the government fearing them. The government respecting the people's rights, the people's will, the people's law, the Constitution. Does the government fear the Constitution? No, they don't. What do? They violate it constantly. They try passing laws constantly to violate the Constitution. That's the one thing government does consistently, is they violate our rights. And they're not fearful because they're not held accountable. Any government official, whether elected, appointed, or hired, meaning cops, judges, politicians, bureaucrats, you violate our rights, you need to go to jail instantly. Right? We, the people, should have protections from government, and we should get due process. Ask yourself this: are the January 6th prisoners who were arrested for trespassing and parading, did they get due process? Well, if they don't get due process, why should we give government employees who are our servants? Why should they get due process? They should go right to fucking jail. Wait 4 or 5 years for us to decide to try them for violating our rights. It's pretty obvious when a law says we're going to take away your magazines, take away your ammunition, and take away your guns. When the Second Amendment clearly says the right of the people to keep, own. Right of the people to keep and bear means hold. Take out whenever you want, to bear it, to hold it. The right to keep and bear arms shall not, meaning never, ever, ever be infringed, which means to be impeded or even touched anywhere near, infringed, to get close to. I think they should be held accountable. Great topic, great topic. And folks, get ready. We're going to be investigating that a lot more in the future. A lot more. All right, let's step up. We've got some more going. We got some great super chats, questions, and I want to hear them. What's on your mind, America? Luke Thompson's back with another $5 super chat donation. Luke says, I want everyone that is listening, including you, John, to stand up and do 5 jumping jacks. I tell you what, Luke, I'll do them after the show. You see this ceiling up here? Hit my head on it. Anyways, I wish everyone would do more exercise. And I am going to include myself in that as well. I am trying to do more physically. I think it's a good idea. I really do. I'll tell you what, I'll do some seated jumping jacks. I'll do some windmills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. I try and stay in as good a shape as I can for a 53-year-old American male. I don't think I'm doing too bad. All right, Jolene, who do we have next? It is Message in a Bottle with a $5 super chat donation. And they write, what do you think of China attacking from inside the borders, have lots coming in? This is a topic, I think, that is underrated as a threat. It could be China. It could be a communist, that's right, communist, socialist African nation. It could be a communist, socialist South American nation. Or it could be the Chinese who are communists. And they're all coming across the southern border. And on top of those communists, okay, African commies, Central American or South American commies, Chinese. There's also all of the Muslim nations which are sending their anti-American, freedom-hating, Christian-hating people here as well. And they have communities where they all live and they live together. And they're also living off of welfare, your money that's given to them. Can you imagine their thoughts are like, you know what, we come to this country, and these people in this country are so stupid that they're giving us money. They're giving us their wealth to live on while we plan to destroy their country. Now, we've used the term cells, terror cells or sleeper cells even, that are out here. And they have from time to time attacked. They have tended to attack our power grids. They've done it in California, Oregon, Washington, North Carolina, and who knows where else that they've attacked the power grid. And they've discovered and they know how weak it is, and they know how to do it. It is not difficult. We've talked about it quite frequently, years before they even tried it. It doesn't take much to shoot a transformer with a gun, have the oil leak out, have the thing malfunction, overheat, shut down, and the power goes down. You do enough of those in the area, you can cause a grid blackout. Right? That's what these people have already found out. I'm not releasing a big giant secret, folks. They could also take tractors, backhoes, or large ditch witch or Vermeer, and trench through the ground and cut up all the fiber optic cables. It is not difficult to find out where they are buried, the major trunk lines, and just tear them all up. They could do a concerted effort and bring down the internet. What is the internet? It is phone. What is the internet? It is business transactions. It is communications. It is placing orders. It's everything. Right? Al Gore's information super highway. That's right. They could tear that up. It's banking also, folks. Banking. That's right. So China attacking from within the border. African nations. South American nations. All the Marxists around the world, folks, hate this country, and they come here freely. Scary stuff. Let's move on if we shall. Who do we want to step up next? And it's Blue Court Devil with a $50 super chat donation. Thank you, Blue Court Devil. And guess what that means? There it is. I've got the shot glass. Oh, I've got me the scotch. And I think the the throat needs a little bit of lubrication there. So I'm going to pour myself one here. Scottish water, my friends. It's like mother's milk. He says, okay, I'm late. I have my Scotch water. Cheers. Cheers to you, Blue Court Devil. Everyone, Semper Fi means always faithful. Potent stuff. Potent, I tell you. Thank you, Blue Court, for the great super chat donation. Let us move. Who is next, Jolene? Who do we want to put up next? And it's Luke Thompson again. Oh, he says, what are your thoughts on Biden versus Kennedy for the Democratic nomination? Now, I didn't want to stand up and do those jumping jacks for you or windmills, but I will jump all over this one. Thank you for the great donation, man. He says, what are your thoughts on Biden versus Kennedy? Well, we know who Biden is. Joe Biden. Let's go, Brandon. Potato Joe. Dumbass Joe. And his son, Hunter, and his wife, Dr. Jill. And good God, what a family of miscreants. Well, I don't know. Is Hunter going to be arrested? Well, his lawyers apparently are out there threatening people, threatening witnesses to the crimes that he's being investigated for. Interesting. Isn't that called subordination of perjury? Suborning perjury? Yeah, something like that. Something about screwing with testimony that can be given. I think there's something about that being a felony. Anyways, let's move on. That Biden family versus Kennedy. And this Kennedy family that Luke is referring to is not down in Louisiana. Not that Senator Kennedy, but rather the other Kennedy family, as in John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, JFK and RFK. RFK, Robert Kennedy, was assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan, and John F. Kennedy was assassinated by the CIA, the Secret Service, the mob, the Dallas Police Department, and a bunch of Cuban exiles, as well as a couple of private hitmen. It was quite a big affair. Anyways, you may have heard of those guys. Well, John Kennedy's son died a few years back, and Robert Kennedy Jr. is still alive. And he has been fighting the cerveza bug Jim Jones juice battle. He has been silenced. He has been attacked. Now, today, folks, the left doesn't care about its legacies. It only cares about its future agenda. It's great prince of Camelot, JFK, they couldn't give a shit about anymore. The same way the black community does not like to quote Martin Luther King Jr. anymore. They just couldn't give a shit. What they care about is what's right in front of them today. So Kennedy wants to come out and fight for the nomination. What would this mark in American politics? It would mark a huge turning point to get the cartel out of there. You see, the cartel, the military-industrial complex, they wanted to get rid of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy. They wanted to get rid of them. So they literally killed them. And they've been running the show ever since. The two exceptions for decent president were Reagan and Trump. Otherwise, the people really didn't give a shit about the presidents. LBJ, Tricky Dick, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, the Clintons, George W. Bush, Obama. Really? And now Biden? You think anyone in the military-industrial complex thinks they're going to have any trouble controlling those guys? Well, Kennedy represents a moral dilemma for them. Once again, right, this guy wants to straighten things out, to fix America. They're not interested in fixing America. I don't think that RFK is going to fare well going up against the Bidens. What is it that Joe Biden wants? He wants a woke transgender America. Is Robert Kennedy from the Kennedy estate, the Kennedy clan, Camelot? Do you think that they are going to convince the world that, well, Democrats, we really don't want that anymore? We should have never wanted that. That is a huge moral issue there. It is incredible to think that the president of this country wants children to cut their fucking genitals off. That's how sick these people are, folks. Remember the other day when I went down the Biden platform? Destroy the military, destroy children, destroy education, destroy the family, destroy our economy, destroy the currency, right? Destroy the First Amendment, destroy the Second Amendment, leave the borders open, continue to push for the control of other nations by corrupt piece of shit stooges like Zelensky, trying to start World War III with Russia. I mean, that's what the Biden campaign is pushing for. How is Kennedy going to stand up to that? Is he going to stand up and say, do we really want to go to World War III? Do we really think it's a good idea to convince children to be trannies? Do we really think it's a great idea to destroy our banking system, our monetary system? He's got a hell of a fight. He would be better off, folks, embracing the Republican platform and running as a Republican. He really does. He would fare better, I would think. But the question is he really a Republican? I know he is very much against and is called and very much against and made it very public his thoughts on the Jim Jones juice and the cerveza bug and all that bullshit. You know, I would welcome anyone into politics that is not corrupt and truly has a moral background and not some bullshit morality like we need to pay for all of the damage that we've done to others by you being taxed and the government giving that money out to those who we think need it more. No, that's bullshit. That is a great lie. That's not morality. That is socialism disguising itself as morality. So what would be the platform that Kennedy runs on? He's going to run. Is it going to split and destroy the Democrat Party? Is it going to help convince a lot of Democrats, hey, look what they just did to RFK Jr. Look what the Bidens and the mainstream media have done by attacking him for not wanting to go down this path to lunacy that Biden has everyone set on, that Obama started. Right? It's going to be interesting. I look forward to it. I also am glad that I am a prepper. Folks, we're almost to 500 people live. Be sure and hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Share that internet address right up there with everyone you know. Text, message, smoke signal, carrier pigeon. I don't care how you get it to them. Get people to wake the hell up. Yeah, people are going to military surplus. They're going to Army Navy stores, and they need to. They better get themselves some combat boots. They better get themselves some water filtration, some gas masks. They better get themselves some long-term food storage. They better wake the fuck up. Because never as much as now has America needed this wake-up call, and they're going to get this wake-up call, and they may not like what they hear when they take that call. They're going to be like, oh, shit. I'm glad you are a prepper. Jolene, where do we want to go next? Holy crap. Holy cow. Chin Music throws a $99.99 super chat donation down the pipe. Woo! I tell you what, man, I'm going to drink to that because he says, put this in the Take Your Son to Dinner Fund. Thank you. Doing Stuff with Nikki has graciously provided me with some cigars that I'll be taking back. Luke and I will have a cigar as well, but I would really like to have a scotch with him. And Chin, thank you, sir, for your generosity. Just like mother's milk, smooth and done. And he says the rest is a campaign donation. Viking Hillbilly for 2024. Yeah, let's end the malarkey. Sounds better than letting potatoes finish the job by finishing us off. I tell you what, I really wish we had a Viking Hillbilly ticket. I really wish I could run, but it's just like, it's so big. It's so big. I mean, it took a billionaire American Trump to even approach it. Now, we've seen other people run for president in the past. Another billionaire, what was that little guy's name? Little short dude he ran against, he ran with Bush and Clinton. Ross Perot. There's going to be a great big sucking sound. That guy, his big old ears. He ran and he did a pretty good job, but he couldn't run on the Republican ticket against an incumbent, a Republican president. You know, regular people, they just can't run into that. Right? I think that Trump was kind of like a regular person with lots of money. I think DeSantis in Florida is kind of like a regular person who is gotten into politics and done well, right? Because of his, I'm going to use the term, and I'm going to use it, and I don't want to hear a bunch of shit over it, but he has taken a pretty good moral approach to everything. We have rights. Those rights are not for sale. Those rights are not for negotiation, right? We are a free people, and he freed up Florida pretty good, right? And he's continuing to fight. Oh, they're fighting, folks. They are absolutely fighting down there. Let's see if I can find it for you. Well, Florida is passing some more laws. They're passing more laws to protect children, from these grooming freaks, right? And they're passing a law. That would be it. I can't remember the number, but the law is the death penalty for anyone who rapes a child, I think 12 years or younger. I think that the death penalty for rape of anyone who is a minor ought to be in. Now, let's move on. Let's see, the good state of Florida is doing that down there. What is the government in D.C. doing? Well, that government has the Internal Revenue Service. And guess what they're doing? They're planning, they're calling for, they have job descriptions out there for special agents who want to go out and arrest people in all 50 states as gun-toting Gestapo, folks. That's exactly the same. Well, it's not, it's exactly, I think it's worse than Gestapo. I think it's worse. Here's what their major duties are. You ready for the major duties of the people the IRS is trying to hire? Work a minimum 50 hours a week, which may include irregular hours and be on call 24/7. Right? Maintain a high level of fitness, to respond to life-threatening situations. Since when is internal revenue tax collecting? When does that require anyone to be on call 24/7 or be in absolute awesome fitness and deal with life-threatening situations? They have to be willing and able to participate in arrests, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. Literally, folks, IRS agents who want to participate in arrests, carrying out and executing search warrants, and dangerous assignments, and carry a gun, must be prepared to protect themselves from physical attacks anytime and without warning, and use firearms in life-threatening situations. Must be willing to use force up to and including the use of deadly force. That's right, folks. The agency, the IRS, wants to hire 360 armed agents in 249 locations around the country. That is your federal government, folks. We want to hire people ready and willing to kill others. You better be in damn good shape, because we're going to run you 24/7. And folks, what kind of person answers that ad? What kind of person wants that job? The person who wants to work for a government that is honest, decent, and good, or someone who wants to work for a Gestapo-like, Stasi-like, KGB-like organization that's going to kick in people's doors and just start shooting? Well, it was a life-threatening situation. I just figured I'd just start shooting people. Who's going to take that job, folks? Nutters who have come out of the military, who unfortunately just need that adrenaline and want to shoot. That's awful. Absolutely awful. Folks, we're so close to 500 people live. I want to get that number up there. Let's hit that 500 mark again, just like we did last week and the week before. And yeah, I will not be signing up for that IRS job. You know what I would like? I would like a job where I'm hired and paid very well to be on the call 24/7 to go arrest corrupt politicians and their corrupt family members. I would sign up for that job. I would keep myself in prime shape so I can go get corrupt corporate officials who have bribed our government, our politicians, our bureaucrats to break the law and give them great contracts. I would love to have that job, kicking down their doors and arresting them for corrupting our political system and destroying the freedoms and liberties of Americans everywhere. That, I think, would be a job to have. All right. Jolene, who wants to step up next? It is Brian Stoll with a $20 super chat donation. He hit that button, 20 buckaroos, 20 smackaroos, right into the go see your kid fund. And it's gonna be quite a reunion. And I'll be taking some stogies and sitting down. Looks like I'm gonna have a dinner with him. And could we put that back up there? What did Brian say? He says, keep up the good work, John. And yes, sir, I will. It's what I do. I tune the brain every day into what the heck is going on so that I can pass that information on to you guys to think about. I'm not telling everyone how to think. I'm just telling you, I need you to think. I want you to think. We all need to think. Now, I just talked about corrupt government officials, corrupt corporate officials. There was a story that was gaining traction. It was getting powerful. It was explosive. It was about the whistleblower who was going to reveal information on the Biden crime family, their corruption, their law breaking, their lawlessness. Remember that? Where'd he go? He has disappeared. So I have some questions, folks. What do you think? Where did that go? There was an FBI whistleblower. He contacted folks, the Senate, the U.S. Senate, and he revealed through his attorney to both the Democrats and the Republicans on the Judiciary Committee the evidence. And then they went over to the House and went to the Oversight Committee there, Judicial Oversight there, to the Republicans and the Democrats and said, we have a whistleblower. We want immunity. We want to be able to come in and put this information out there. Where did this guy go? He's now gone. Is he FBI napped? Did they find out who he is, arrest his ass, and put him in a black hole? Where is he? Or has he been captured and protected by powerful forces that don't want him in government control? Or did he decide that this was just way out of hand, way crazy? He tried becoming a whistleblower and discovered no one gave a shit and no one was going to do anything, and that his life was in peril, thinking that he could blow the whistle on these criminal syndicates, and now he is on the run. He disappeared. I don't know what it is, folks. Arrest, put in hiding, or the dude just said, fuck it, I'm out of here. What do you think? Have you heard anything? I completely looked and missed it. If it's there, I missed it. Crazy world, folks. Crazy world. We've got more. We've got more great questions coming up. Get yours in now. Hit that super chat button and we'll get it on the screen and talk about it. I got a bunch of stuff that I am interested in as well. You guys keep hitting it though. Some of the same topics we're touching on. Let's do this. Jolene, who do we have next? We have Stephen Conlon. Good golly, with the 50-pound super chat donation. He says, hello, John. I'll say, hello, Stephen. It has been a long time, brother. Where have you been? Stephen is from across the pond in jolly old England. And there have been many a times where he has bought a scotch, and he's buying one this evening. And I'll pour an extra tall one there. Whoops, got a little too much in the glass. Anyway, Stephen, it is great to hear from you, and I'm glad you are well and alive. We've talked about it and wondered where you went. I'm glad to see you here. Salut. Cheers, brother. Woo! That was a particularly good one right there, I tell you. 18-year Glenn Levitt. Stephen, great to hear from you. Let us know how things are going over in jolly old England. I tell you, what is happening over there? From time to time, frequently we get reports direct. Oftentimes I rely on international news to find out what is going on in our cousin. Basically, folks, America, so much of it was born of England. Kind of like a kid brother who decided to run a different way. But we're all Anglo when it comes to our law, the common law, which was developed in England. And the rights of men came through English common law, folks, particularly through the Magna Carta and then other various, shall we say, evolutions in thought and logic and the understanding of what it is to be a man and be alive and have rights, and who provides that. You know, does it come from God, or does government or the king? Right? Unbelievable to see such a good thing come out of England, and then to see England just absolutely fall apart. Anyways, thank you very much, Stephen. What is going on, folks? Where do we want to go? In Utah, a biotech research company has implanted chips into the brains of 50 people in an effort to cure depression, blindness, and paralysis. It's quite interesting, folks. Paralysis has to do with damaged nerves. I don't know how a brain chip is going to correct damaged nerve issues in, say, spinal cord injury, serious neck injury. I don't know how a brain implant computer chip is going to fix blindness. Once again, from the eye, the optic nerve goes back into the brain where it connects. And if that is damaged, I don't know how a chip fixes that. And I don't know how a chip cures depression either. I don't know how it does that. What does the chip do? How does it control depression or cure blindness or paralysis? But let's just assume for a moment that this chip can do a lot of things that normally we would think it couldn't, and that it can actually cure, let's just go with depression. I find it interesting that if that's the case, that the mentally ill can be fixed or controlled so easily. And will this chip that's in the mind, can it be programmed? Can it be controlled? Does it take updates? Is it going to be affected by 5G? Is it going to be affected by, how do we put this? The operating system. Does it use Wi-Fi and get constant updates? You know, the chips that we have in our phones and our computers, they last 3 to 5 years before they melt down and go to hell. What happens in 3 to 5 years when these chips in the brain go bad? Just a question, right? Just a little question. I'm not too sure I like this idea of computer controlling brains, folks. Quite scary. Unbelievable. Where do we go from now? Well, let's head back over to politics, if we shall. Senator Ron Johnson went on the news this weekend, right? Because he wants to continue to fight. It's interesting to me how Senator Johnson or Senator Cotton or Senator Kennedy or Senator Paul, they're out there trying to make a difference, yet nothing matters. Now, Senator Johnson this weekend has emails that demonstrate, that show that Tony Blinken of the State Department lied to the Senate under oath about a meeting with Hunter Biden back when Hunter should have been arrested for his laptop. At this point, going to the mainstream media, do you think it's going to have any effect on the country? Number one, Republicans don't watch the mainstream media. And number two, the Democrats that do watch don't give a shit what a Republican has to say. But there is a fix. It's called impeachment. It's called impeachment. Start using it. Good God, where is the Speaker of the House? That bold and strong Republican. No, he's a Washington insider. Representative Kevin McCarthy, as Speaker of the House, is weak. He is controlled. Where's all of the footage? I seem to remember that there was a promise that all of the footage from January 6th was going to be released. Well, a lot of it was released to Tucker Carlson, who in his own turn only released some of that to the public. I'm wondering what else is on those tapes. What congressmen, what senators were running from what room to what room and barking what orders to what people. I think they might be afraid of that as much as, well, shooting Ashley Babbitt and watching the police beat the living shit out of Americans. Right? A lot of that came out. And they're afraid, folks. They're afraid. I mean, they want to come after us. Now, I want to bring it up again. Thank you much, you man. In Illinois, the federal judge there halted the Illinois assault weapons ban. And they, they're basically saying, oh, it seems to have violated the Second Amendment. I don't understand why the government doesn't understand its job. I mean, here's a reminder, shall not be infringed. It means what it says. It means what is written. Everything they're doing is to push us and at us, the people, harder and harder and in a more tyrannical manner. The January 6th protesters, it was horrifying. The fact that they were vilified by the mainstream media and attacked by, well, everyone all the way up to the vice president. And the fact that Trump did not pardon them when he could have and should have. He should have pardoned all of them. Everyone who was on January 6th in Washington, D.C., you're pardoned for any of those supposed crimes. I think that would have been a great thing. I mean, it seems that the FBI pardoned Ray Epps all by themselves, a man who was committing acts of violence and encouraging acts of violence, not only on the day, but the night before, who was never arrested, who was never charged with anything. Yeah, boy, folks, shall not be infringed. It is going to take on a whole new meaning in your life. A whole new meaning in your life when there's that knock on your door. Is it an IRS agent that wants to kick in your door? Is it the FBI that wants to kick in your door? Is it the ATF that wants to kick in your door? Are you going to let yourself be arrested by these freaks and these creeps? Oh, yeah, folks. Understand, they don't love you. They hate you. They don't love this country. They hate this country. Now, that makes me sick because I am a patriot, just like you guys. And the fact that these people are willing to shit all over the Constitution while getting a paycheck from us is just infuriating. Infuriating. Let's do this. Let's do another super chat donation. We're over 90 minutes into the show, and we've been teetering right around 475 to 490 people live. I'd love to get it way up over. But at the moment, we've got Blue Cord Devil with a $50 super chat donation, which means I'm going to get another drink. And it doesn't matter how much I drink, folks. Guess what? I may get loopy. I may get screwy. But I'm not going to do anything that's going to get me in trouble. That is just delicious stuff right there. Blue Cord, thank you, sir. Semper Fi, Salut, Prost. He says, peace and prayers, John, Jolene, Uman, and everyone else. Watch your six. Have to go, just found out a lifelong friend, Navy vet, committed suicide. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that. A friend and a veteran has committed suicide. That's terrible. Peace to you and everyone else. We can take that down, Jolene. The topic of suicide is a very rough one, and I'm sorry to hear that another veteran has taken their life. There's a lot of problems out there, folks. And I guess the difference between a patriot and a left-wing lunatic is a patriot, right, with problems takes their life. But one of these left-wing lunatics go and take the lives of children and other innocent people. And I think that goes to show you a big, big, big difference. Now, I'm going to step back over the pond, over to where Stephen Conlon is, or at least close to it, in Ireland, which is the just across the, not just across the pond, across the little channel there from England. It's part of Great Britain, if you will. Ireland has a set of laws that's going to pass. They're hate speech laws, and it'll make possessing hateful content on your computer or your phone. Possessing content is a jailable offense. Well, folks, never mind that Elon Musk is like, well, you know, my app, someone may have that on there, whatever. I'm not worried about that. What I'm concerned about in Ireland and in England is that you're not allowed to think freely anymore. How can you have a debate to discover a truth or a fact or a thought, to verify it, to prove it, or to disprove it. How can you do that if you're not even allowed to speak? I mean, what if you're supposed to go engage in a debate and you have your notes on your device? What if someone else considers those thoughts hateful? See, this is ridiculous. What is hateful? I mean, these screwball left-wing lunatics, these absolute screwball sexual deviants, LGBTQ guys, they think that if you disagree with them, that's hate. Sorry to say, it's not hate to disagree with someone else's opinion. They call it hate, though. Hateful, folks, is anything they say it is. And everything that is conservative and everything that is American is hate to these people. And in Ireland, anyone who is pro-Ireland and not for LGBTQ and not for woke and not for climate change and not for immigration is hateful. Same with England. Same with everywhere else in Europe. Can you see how the world is going down the shitter? I sure hope you're prepared out there, folks. I hope you're absolutely prepared for what is coming. Because it's coming. It's steady. It's progressive. It's coming. It is not stopping. It's coming. It's being driven at the grassroots level, but it's being funded by the powerful. It truly is. All right, Jolene, what do we want to do? We got a super chat donation out there. Good golly. It's Stephen Conlon again with another 50 pounds. I just read that. Don't make me spill this gorgeous 18-year-old scotch. Okay, Stephen, first off, welcome back. Salut. Cheers. He says, do you think as a 71-year-old English man that I should stop drinking single malt and drink Bud Light? The answer, dear sir, is no, do not. Folks, don't keep drinking your single malt, whether it's a Glenlivet, Fiddick, a Glenfarclas, Macallan, Lafrogue. I don't know what your particular scotch is, but don't stop drinking it. It's good for your health. And Bud Light is kind of like having sex in a canoe. It's fucking close to water. But yeah, don't. 71-year-old Englishman, that's a good thing to be in my book. At age 71, it's hard for me to think where I'm at now, where I'll be at mentally in approximately 20 more years to be your age. I was reflecting as I went through some pictures to send Lucas to show him what I looked at like at his age and what I looked like as a young father. And I thought, man, I thought I knew some stuff back in my 20s. And I knew this much. And it was good. You know, I was good. I knew stuff. I had learned stuff. I was pretty smart. I was a patriot. You know, I'm a good man, a good American. But as you get older, you have more experience. You have more wisdom. You have more, as you say, cataloged sight. You've seen more. You've seen it all. You've done everything you could do. And the older you get, the more that becomes who you are. And so just in the 10 years I've been here on this mission, if you will, been here almost 10 years, in my 10th year now. This mission to wake people up, to inform them, to get them to think, to get them to prep. I've learned so much from you guys and from the experiences life has thrown at me over the last decade. A lot of it very painful. But you know, that's what we got going. 71-year-old man, you know who you are. Just be who you are. And folks, for the most part, I couldn't give a shit if you're straight or not, if you're white or not. I couldn't care less. Just be a good freaking person. Don't hurt others. Oh yeah, the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If everyone would live by that, we'd do well, right? We would do well to live by that injunction. Good golly, right? Now, this topic here is very important. Newt Gingrich, that's right, Newt, who came up with the contract with America back in the 90s. He got a Republican Congress, Republican House of Representatives in power that hadn't been there, and I think at that point for 40 years. He's a smart guy politically. I think he's past his prime. It's a different world than the Newt Gingrich world, but still he's out there and he's trying, and I think he's got one hell of a point here, right? I don't always agree with Newt, and I don't always drink beer, but when I do, anyways, Newt Gingrich, he says, quote, I think Republicans better pay significant attention to Michelle Obama. What do you think of that? I think Republicans better pay significant attention to Michelle Obama. Well, earlier, we discussed Kennedy versus Biden. Is the world ready for a black female, completely inexperienced in politics woman? Black, liberal, woman, lawyer, inexperienced, right? Is the world ready for Michelle Obama? Well, we got Donald Trump. What was Donald Trump? Rich white dude with a lot of business experience. And he got to be president, so why not a black woman, lawyer, with no experience except she was married to Obama? That would be Barry Soetoro. Do you think that this is a red herring by Newt Gingrich? Do you think that Newt Gingrich is trying to get people to pay attention to Michelle Obama rather than RFK, Robert Kennedy? Do you think that Newt Gingrich is part of a predictive programming campaign to get people prepared? Yeah. Now, folks, Biden does not want to quit and give up. The Biden cartel wants its power. Do you think that the Obamas aren't happy with Biden and they want to get rid of him? That they went back in there? Now, Hillary Clinton tried this, folks. Hillary Clinton, attorney, Hillary Clinton, woman, Hillary Clinton, white, was married to the president, spent 8 years in the White House, and then did her part a number of years later to get back into politics. She became, folks, a presidential candidate. She became Secretary of State. It's pretty friggin' scary when you think about it. Hillary Clinton, oof, right? But Michelle Obama, one of the, well, I don't know how to describe her or him, if you will. One of the most bulgiest first ladies ever. Not an attractive man or woman. In fact, there's just a lot of discussion about that. Could, if Michelle is actually a tranny, could she come out of the closet literally and tell everyone that that's what she is and that America better vote, or they're a bunch of racists and a bunch of homophobes and xenophobes? What the hell? Michelle Obama. I don't think that America is ready for a Michelle Obama for president anymore. Well, certainly not as much as they thought they were ready for Hillary Clinton. I think that Michelle Obama does really well on The View. I don't think she's going to do very well in the White House. Other world leaders, I don't think, are appreciating Joe Biden any more than they appreciated Barack Obama. I don't think they appreciate these leftists, folks. I think they sneer at them. There's a lot of lack of respect. I found it fascinating that in North Korea, that communist leader, right, Kim Jong-un, had enough respect for Trump that he met him at the DMZ. and they met in person. It reminded me a lot of Glasnost when Ronald Reagan met with Mikhail Gorbachev. I thought that was quite interesting, right? How can enemies meet? But Democrats, they don't really seem to have that ability to impress upon others that they need to meet them, because I don't think they're respectful of others. I mean, what was it? It was Obama got in trouble with the Queen of England, and Joe Biden farted on the Queen of England. I don't think there's a lot of love. In fact, I remember Joe Biden being over in Europe and people laughing at him, literally laughing at Joe Biden in these high political circles. They realize he's a complete bumbling idiot and he's not really in charge. Would Michelle Obama be in charge? Or is she just another, semi-electable figurehead? I guess we'll find out, right? I guess we're going to find out. Jolene, let's do a super chat donation. Who do we got out there? It is Boomer with a Canadian $11 super chat donation. Bow. He says, if Elon Musk would really be our friend, he'd be pulling off a George Soros in reverse and working on rebuilding that wall instead of Neuralink and Starlink. He also voted for Biden. That's right. Elon Musk, I think, is worthy of a lot of criticism. He has, since voting for Biden, he's learned quite a bit about how he's treated. Right? He's learned that the left does not like him unless he does what they want. And even if he does what they want, they're still going to crap all over him. Right? They'll make anyone a useful idiot, including someone like Elon Musk. I would think that, yes, doing a George Soros in reverse, which would be funding of political candidates on the local level, district attorneys and judges, to get constitution adhering, law and order, peace and justice candidates into office. If he really loved this country and wanted to help, he would do better by getting the wall built. In fact, the triple amputee that privately funded some building of the wall is now going to jail. He was charged, tried, found guilty, and now they're going to punish him. A veteran, a triple amputee who wanted to help the government protect this country. Unfucking believable. And now Elon Musk, I think he should do what he can to help this country. Build the wall. Be careful, Elon, even though we all want the wall. Neuralink, I don't like the idea of this brain up here being exposed indiscriminately to the programming wishes of others. No, thank you. If I want to interact with computers and people, I'll do it through my own input sensory mechanisms, the eyes, the ears. I don't need to have something hardwired into my brain that could bypass my moral system. Because there is a moral filter that everything goes through. It has to. It must. Now, I'm going to take that word moral and we're going to go for this. Ukraine, folks, has kamikaze droned Russia. Once again. They sure have. World War III, you bet, folks. It's still on our screen. Kamikaze drones blowing up a Crimean fuel depot. That's right, folks. Now, on the ground in Bakhmut, Putin is winning. Everyone knows it. In Ukraine, Zelensky is, folks, get this, he's terrified of losing Western financial support. He is. He's terrified. That's why he keeps threatening everyone. Your children, your sons and daughters will have to go to war to fight Russia. Why? Why would American sons and daughters have to fight Russia? They're way the fuck over there next to you, jackass. Why would England's sons and daughters need to go fight in Russia? They're across the continent. Right? Why would German and Polish sons and daughters need to go fight Russia when all Russia is doing is trying to kick the shit out of a bunch of neo-Nazis who worked for Zelensky. Anyway, Zelensky's terrified of losing support, so he continues to threaten and bluster and bullshit everyone. But I think he's mostly terrified about being assassinated upon his departure from office, or if he loses this war. So, yeah, the powers that be that have backed him, they want results. And so he's been stepping up his attacks and sending kamikaze drones into Russia. Now, I think that the attacks inside Russia are an effort to provoke Putin, Vladimir Putin, to respond and have Putin cause a mass civilian death and then have Russia blame for it. And Putin's no fool. He knows that Vladimir Voldemort, rather, Zelensky wants Russia to do something really bad. It's trying its hardest, Ukraine is, to evoke sympathy from us. And it also needs a big event to get our support again. Right? That's why they want Putin to strike them and kill a bunch of civilians. Right? Losing the war to Russia, that's not going to get Zelensky what he wants. Zelensky can't defeat Russia. So this desperation right now is growing as their support fades. That's why there's been public and dramatic assassination attempts on Putin. And I think a big one is going to be made sometime in the next 6 months. They're going to really try and kill Putin. They're going to continue to try and provoke Russia to attack their civilians. And the reason I say they need to get this done in the next 6 months is Biden won't fare very well supporting Zelensky in an election year. If Zelensky doesn't turn the tide, then he can't. So they need Putin to make himself a bigger enemy that everyone wants to go beat up on. And then Biden can run as a war president instead of a whore president. That's where we're at right now, folks. Good golly, the World War III, it's still right there. In fact, if I recall, Zelensky wanted to go and attack Moscow directly. I find that very alarming. Not attack Putin, but bomb the shit out of Moscow. Wow. Okay, folks, let's do another super chat donation. Jolene, who do we want to put up there? It's a super sticker from Ardour Scout. He says, quote, when COVID came through, TPM kept us all calm. I never thanked you guys for the support. I tell you what, man, we've all supported each other here. And I appreciate the thanks, and I want to thank you as well. Folks, there's been a lot of support for this channel. Alaska Prepper, all the other prepper channels, they're out there. We've supported each other as best we can. We kept communications up, and yeah, they tried bringing this country down. They did a big part of it, but they've also awoken the patriot spirit amongst many of us, and that is having an effect today. They keep miscalculating Americans, the deep state, thinking that they can demoralize us and we'll just sit back and let them tell us what to do, as if we need to be commanded like idiots. Keep supporting one another, and I want to thank you for supporting the show, supporting me in my endeavors, my training, my location, everything that you guys do, including making sure that I have lots of scotch. That's the one thing I haven't done, is run out of scotch, and that's been a good thing. And I've have as much spam today as I had last week. I'm not running out of spam. But I tell you what, I sure hope that your prepper zone, your bunker, your pantry, I hope you've got it well stocked. I really think that 3 months worth of food is a good amount to have. It's that kind of world, folks. I sure hope you have self-defense items, because that's the kind of world we have. When the government wants to hire people and they're advertising that they better be ready and willing to shoot and kill others, I think that's a bad sign. I really do. And I pray every day. I pray every day for the youths of this country who haven't had a chance to live a good life yet, who are going to have to fight for freedom and liberty before they get to live a good life. They need to win it back. You know, I guess I could say that I've lived a pretty good life while simultaneously fighting these pricks. And it's hard to imagine how good my life would have been if this government wasn't corrupt, if it wasn't full of thieves and knaves, if the government wasn't trying to screw us all over. What kind of life could I have lived? If these social miscreants in the LGBT crowds, in the feminist crowd, in all the socialist crowds, if they hadn't been around, can you imagine how good the world would be? If district attorneys and bureaucrats in government did their job and stopped all the corporate corruption from affecting cities, states, and the federal government, imagine how good it would be. If we weren't getting the shit taxed out of us, imagine how well we would be off and how smooth things would run. Yep, but it ain't that kind of movie. What we have, folks, is SHTF, and it's here, and it's here to stay until everything is resolved, until it's over. Between now and then, there's a lot of ground to cover. So get prepared: food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and this. Oh yes, you're going to need lots of that. Get prepared up here. Have your plan. Understand the 10 miles around you. Understand the government is not your friend. It's not here to help. And as Ronald Reagan said, right? As Ronald Reagan said, government isn't the solution to our problems. Government is the problem. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi means always faithful. Godspeed. And I'll see you guys, well, bright and early. Well, how about dark and early at 0 dark 30? I'll see you then.